really can't hide it. You can bury it in your backyard, but which was a good method to protecting your gold 100 years ago. But today with metal detector technology, they'll get it.
Yeah.
If they really want your gold, they'll get it. And Bitcoin doesn't have a physical form. It's a digital scarce asset. And it gives you this unconfiscatability feature. And I recognize that feature, and one of my conferences is called Unconfiscatable. I have unconfiscatable.com.
Yeah.
I turned this concept into a brand of its own.
I'm Andre, and this is the Speak Your Life podcast, where we talk about everything as it relates to education, careers, values, mentors, and anything to do with purpose. We do this one impactful conversation at a time, whether it's solo dolo with yours truly or our amazing guests to share stories, industry insights, encouraging words, and calls to action that can help you get closer to your why. Become a part of the Speak Your Life community by subscribing today to the podcast and following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Speak Your LYFE, because life without your why is meaningless.
So today, my special guest holds a bachelor's degree in geology and also a master's degree in financial engineering from Florida State University. He worked on Wall Street for 10 years, starting as a risk analyst at Bear Stearns, and later became a VP at JP Morgan Chase in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. His expertise is in economic trends, trading, and risk analysis. Ever since getting involved in the cryptocurrency ecosystem in early 2013, he has been very active in spreading the relevance and importance of this technology as it helps promote economic freedom. He has also been featured in several documentaries like Magic Money and Bitcoin Beyond the Bubble. He is now an independent content creator at Vays.com and on his YouTube channel focused on sound economics and finance. Also, he organizes 3 conferences around the world: Unconfiscatable, Understanding Bitcoin, which you can attend in May in Malta, and the Financial Summit for traders and hedge funds coming up very soon in April 19th in the Dominican Republic. Please welcome my guest and friend, Tone Vays.
Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Great meeting you, Andre. Nice to be here in South Africa, of all places,
cheers.
right?
Yeah. You feeling good, man?
I'm good. Bright and early here.
Yeah.
Got a nice view. Man, you know what? We should show people what we see out the window.
Sure.
Whoa, we gotta turn the camera around. And,
So while he's showing everybody the view of the beautiful Cape Town, I'm going to tell you a little story of how we met. So basically, we met a couple of days ago in the Newark airport at the gate, and just waiting to board the plane. And so I see this guy just on his computer, just typing away, just streaming, and I'm like, oh, okay, looks like he's doing something important. And so we just get to talking, and I found out that he's a YouTuber, and he trades, currencies, he's trading options, he's trading Bitcoins, and he's very knowledgeable about what he's doing. So I was like, all right, cool. And he's a cool guy too. So we ended up just hanging out with a few others that we met along at the gate as well. And we just became friends, and we hiked the mountain together, Table Mountain.
Yeah, Table Mountain, man. That was a rough climb. Not everybody made it that started with us.
Man, that's not for the faint of heart, man. You gotta have consistency, you gotta have persistence, you gotta have heart, you gotta have all of that just to get to the top. And we went through the quote unquote the easy trail.
Yeah.
So man, that was crazy.
Surprisingly, I'm not sore, man.
Really? Yeah, same here. Yeah, we made it.
Yeah, that was good.
Man, so you ready to speak your life?
Yeah, I mean, man, it was a long path to get here.
Yeah.
Spent way too many years in school. Going to university, not going to university, those are tough decisions.
Yeah.
You don't really get to learn that much that you will use later on in life, but I will say that the life skills you learn of moving out of your home and going to a university, I was 17 when I left.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Okay.
I don't remember any class that I really studied that came in really handy, because most of the stuff you learn on a job, most of the stuff you learn in your experiences. but the life skills you learn in university were important.
Yeah.
So I spent about 7 years in total in university. A year in between that, I was a high school teacher. None of that was really fun. Also wanted to make some money, so that's how I eventually ended up on Wall Street after I got that master's in financial engineering.
Yeah.
Started at Bear Stearns. Year and a half into my job, the company collapses in the financial crisis of '08. Stuck around Wall Street. Trading was always a passion of mine.
Yeah.
So I eventually quit that job of building risk models to be a trader around 2015.
Yeah.
And I was already a big fan of Bitcoin. Everyone's talking about cryptocurrencies these days, but for me it's just Bitcoin. I'm still wearing a shirt. Only Bitcoin. Nothing else was really that interesting to me, and the more I looked into other crypto projects, the more I realized that at the end of the day it's going to be Bitcoin. So my focus was Bitcoin. I started speaking at conferences. I had a financial background. I started doing a lot of interviews on YouTube channels, led to me having my own YouTube channel. And a lot of the conferences I spoke at, you learn a lot about speaking at conferences. So when people go to conferences, you've been to conferences, right?
Yeah.
People come up on stage and they talk about stuff. And you are assuming that the conference organizers have properly selected the people on stage to educate you. And once you actually become a speaker and you have an expertise in your subject, you realize that is not true. The majority of the people standing on stage, they're not there to teach you something, they're there to sell you something. The majority of speakers at any conference on any subject are, unless they're really scientific, they're probably paid to be on stage to sell you their product, whether it's good or not. And because of that, I had to start my own conferences where that doesn't happen. No one pays to speak. I consider myself an expert in the subject, and I only allow other experts to speak without selling you anything. That's how my own conferences came about. But it's not easy. It's a big hustle. Never worked so hard in my life now that I'm working for myself.
I know.
And hard to find time for trading. Mostly a lot of travel, a lot of public speaking, running the YouTube channel, and putting together events just to try to educate people.
Yeah, speaking of events, you have one coming up tomorrow here in Cape Town. So if you're in Cape Town, be sure to check that out at meetup.com. You can find that. So
then I'm off to Johannesburg speaking at a conference there, and then I'm gonna stick around Africa for a little bit. Some good safaris, Kenya, Rwanda. We'll see where I go.
Nice. Victoria Falls, maybe?
Victoria Falls for sure. I already got my flight for that.
Okay. This man's just been traveling back to back so many years, and it's just been great. It's just been great seeing like what he's done and what he's gonna be doing, and so I'm looking forward to seeing that through your YouTube channel and stuff like that. So, and it's just been, man, I'm glad that we met each other. So it's been really awesome. But so I remember you talked about a little bit about schooling, how that wasn't really you weren't somebody that really learned something from schooling, that you felt like it was worth something as far as your time. Tell us about, because let's start before that. Let's go back from the way beginning, because we talk about when you were born and why you were born. So when were you born, and just give us that whole story about how you started and where you guys got to and how you guys got to America.
Oh man, so I was born back in communist Russia. So that was different. My family got out of Russia. It was still a communist country back then. When we got out, I was about 10 years old. And came over to America, ended up in Brooklyn, and grew up in Brooklyn since I was about 10. And I'm not going to say it was like crazy hard, but it definitely wasn't easy. You know, immigrants don't know the language, on government assistance. You know, it was called food stamps back then, but then they changed it to, I forgot, like politically correct EBT, right? But back then it was literally called food stamps. That's what it was. And yeah, going through junior high school, wasn't the most popular kid, didn't have much money. It's all about the clothes. You got to wear the right jeans.
The Jordans.
Yeah. Did you grow up in New York City as well?
No, Atlanta, man.
I was about to say, man. It's,
them kids are still, they're still mean. They're still, they hard on you if you don't have the Jordans, you don't have the Air Force Ones, you don't have the right shoes.
I remember Air Force One, I remember like the Jordans. Jordan was actually like actively playing back then. This is early 90s. When I was in high school.
Before my time, guys.
So Jordan was going through his first three-peat, and it was all about that. But ATL or Brooklyn, they're not going to be that different. But the high school life is probably going to be very similar.
Oh yeah.
But you guys take your sports more seriously. That was the thing. Like New York, there's not really like New York City is not really a sports town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sports town for professional sports, but like high school football doesn't exist, college football doesn't exist.
Basketball's pretty big in
It's
New
all
York.
right. I mean, you got a couple of teams, like just St. John's and Seton Hall, just a couple of teams around, but they're never that big.
Okay.
So it's definitely not all that. So going through high school, I was an average student. I was just like a B student. Didn't get into any great colleges. Ended up going upstate for my undergrad degrees. Really liked geology, really liked being in nature, liked hiking. So hike the other day was great up Table Mountain. I've hiked the Grand Canyon a couple of times. I've done some interesting hikes around the U.S. And other places.
Good.
I really like the outdoors. So that was my thing. Math was something I was good at. English and history I wasn't. Now I'm starting to get an appreciation for history. When I was younger, I didn't really care. So math and science were my subjects. Reading and writing wasn't my strong suit at all. So got that math degree. Couldn't do much with geology, but the math helped me out. Was able to get that master's in financial engineering, and then the financial career eventually took off. Loved patterns. That's why I fell in love with technical analysis and the trading of that technical analysis.
I think we get the same phone. My alarm has the same thing.
So I fell in love with technical analysis, chart patterns, and started becoming a trader, learned options.
I love options.
So that's great. I haven't had much time for trading lately, but I've been enjoying travel. I'm going to take a little break from travel next year. I'm going to start trading again. We'll see. Maybe there's a hedge fund in the future that I'll put together. There's already interest to have popularity around the world because I've been educating people how to trade for years now. So it's time to try it out.
The BBC reports a U.S. workers' online study said that nearly 70% agree public speaking skills are critical for success at work. Maybe you are a student looking to become a prime candidate for that internship, or might I say full-time position, or maybe you have already been in the job market for some time now and you just want to stand out amongst your coworkers looking to get that raise you feel like you've been passed up for too long now. Go to speakyourlife.com/private-lessons. That's speakyourlife.com/private-lessons. Again, that's speakyourlife.com/private-lessons to become a better communicator tomorrow by signing up today.
You talked about options. I know we talked about that over dinner, and you talked about how you like the volatility. What's another reason why you like options?
I like the leverage of options. It allows you to really hedge your risk if you do it right. I mean, options, they could be so dangerous if you don't understand them. But if you actually understand them, they can significantly reduce your risk while giving you better returns. You still have to be right about your trade. But if you properly utilize options, they could be such a powerful tool in your trading, like unlike anything in the market. They're so unique. I've traded futures, I've traded pretty much everything, but at the end of the day, it's just, if you dive deep into options, it's just its own world of finance. And I think there's a lot more I can do with that, come up with some new strategies. And I really enjoy that, just spending immersing myself away from everything for like a few weeks and coming back with a strategy that I'm ready to implement in the market.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there that, they just know about stocks and, bonds and mutual funds and all that stuff, the mainstream stuff. But options is becoming more popular, and it's something that I actually love more when it comes to trading compared to anything else. But yeah, so when you were vice president at JP Morgan Chase, tell us about that, and really let's focus on the part that, I don't know, you felt like you knew that there's something wasn't right, even though, because honestly, when I found out that you're the vice president, one of the vice presidents, it's like, to most people, that you're like, you have a good life, you're living the high life in New York City, and you have a high executive position. So, like, tell us about that and why you couldn't stand being there anymore.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So being a VP at these companies like JP Morgan, and back then it was JP Morgan, Bear Stearns, Goldman's still with us, Lehman is no more. So a vice president position is actually just below executive position.
Okay.
So it's not that hard to get if you are competent. You either need to be a competent employee for, say, 7 years, or have a master's degree and be a competent employee for maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's something that's very, very achievable if you have a good work ethic and you do well at the job. It's not that high up, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good position. I was making pretty good money and really enjoying it at first, but eventually you get bored. I was also on the risk side of the market and not the trade side of the market. So it's not that fun. I guess I'm happy how my life turned out. Like, I'm here. I've been traveling the world for the last 3 years, and I'm sure it would have been different if I started to hate the risk side earlier, jumped over to the trade side of things. I don't know if you watched the show Billions.
No, I haven't. I gotta check it out.
You heard about it, right?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's about a hedge fund. So maybe if I joined the trade side of the market, my life would be different. I would still be working in that Wall Street environment. Okay. But I just got really fed up with it, and it was something that. It was interesting. It was something that the guy who I replaced, when I got hired at Bear Stearns, I think it was 2006 or 2007, when I got hired, I was replacing one of the first 8 guys that joined the company. Yeah. It was a subsidiary. It was like a standalone risk analytics. And the company was about, 35 people. But 8 years ago when it started, he was one of the original 8.
Wow.
Still a young guy, though. He was still in his early 30s. Because he got that job right out of college. It was a startup. And I was so happy to get this job because I was an adjunct college professor trying to find my first Wall Street job. And here comes this job that's offering me like a $65,000 or a $70,000 salary. And it was like 2006, so it was 15 years, like over 10 years ago, almost 15 now. And he's quitting this job, and he's probably getting paid at least $150,000, if not $200K, living in Midtown, like walking distance from Times Square.
I know, right?
And I'm like, dude, why in the world are you quitting? I was so happy to, not that I was complaining, I was so happy to like take over his role. In fact, they didn't even trust me alone to take over that role, so they hired me and another guy. They hired 2 of us,
really
borderline competition with each other to take over one guy's job, but working together, but at the same time almost competing. It didn't take me long to be his boss within a year because I just, again, it's your work hard, right? Yeah. I was able to work a little bit harder, and my higher up saw it. But as I was getting the job, I asked him, because I was hanging out with the guy that was training me that was leaving. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I think I'm going to go back to college, maybe get another degree. He was just bored. And I asked him, why the hell are you quitting this job?
Yeah.
And he said, when your commute to work becomes more enjoyable than your work, it's time to quit.
Wow.
And his commute to work was walking from, slightly west side of Times Square, across like Times Square, across Bryant Park, over to Grand Central, where our office was, right next to Grand Central. So literally, his commute to work was walking through parks in Manhattan, right? And he's like, yeah, when you commute to work becomes more enjoyable than you work, it's time to do something else. And I didn't realize that until like 8 years later when I'm commuting to work. I lived out in Staten Island, taking the ferry. It's a nice ferry ride. Sitting there looking at the Statue of Liberty. But you're there on the ferry with like a million other people going to work. And you're like, man, I wish this thing would just like go a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So the commute to work became more enjoyable than work, and it was time to do something else.
Yeah, wow. And so as you started your own business, and obviously that's not easy for people to jump that ship because that's a big risk. You talk about risk analysis. That's a big risk in itself, just, going from Wall Street to becoming your own boss. But I want to really focus on the part where you've created content, and especially this podcast where it's been a little controversial, but you've been calling out some people because there's, the thing I like about you is that you're not just somebody who wants to make money, but you also have some ethics about it, because you see there's a lot of scams out there. You see there's a lot of people out there who are just trying to make a quick buck, but are not really truly educating people about the financial markets like you are trying to do. And so tell us about that, and tell us about that moment where you just said enough is enough, and I'm taking a stand and I'm calling these people out, even if it means having my own podcast for that.
Yeah, no, that's how I ended up building my reputation. It wasn't easy. You realize real quick that when you quit a job and you're not getting salary coming in, everything becomes much harder. Pressure starts to build. And that's what happened. I ended up quitting my job a year earlier than I should have. I thought I had enough savings. I thought I had enough backup. And I had, the Bitcoin market wasn't rising fast enough at the time. I quit in early 2015. Bitcoin was at the bottom of its bear market, and it got stuck there for a year. So the smart play would have been to hang in that job, stick around one more year, and convert that salary into Bitcoin, which I no longer was able to do. So that was rough. I definitely missed out on that one. I started a physical business in the New York City area, and that didn't really work out. So I had a bunch of backup plans, and they were all failing one by one. I was also starting out my content creation and YouTube channel, and I had no clue how to even monetize it. And my popularity was growing. And your parents, your relatives, and they're like, well, how are you going to make money? How are you going to make a living? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gaining thousands of followers a week. I will find a way to monetize it eventually. Somehow. And I eventually did. I was able to have enough popularity to start teaching courses, start doing some consulting. Now I have the conferences. The YouTube itself doesn't really pay you, but there is affiliate codes. I don't like multi-level marketing stuff. I think that's on the scammy side of things. But affiliate programs are fine if there are companies or products that I use and I like those products. I'm happy to advertise those products. And if I bring in leads for these products, then I get kickbacks from that company. I think that's a much more ethical way of earning a living than through multi-level marketing. I think affiliate marketing is fine. But you got to have a plan, and you got to have a backup. And I had multiple. I had 3 plans. I had a physical business that I thought would succeed. That didn't work. I had I started trading, but then trading was doing okay, but it was hard to focus on trading and building out your reputation. And I took a risk. I decided to go against my own community and start calling out the bullshit, start calling out the scammers. And it hurt me a little bit because a lot of people just want to cooperate with others. But that's not how I was brought up. So my ethics were a little bit different, and my followers understand that. And the one thing no one will ever say about me is that I'm somehow a hypocrite or I'm dishonest. So I've had loyal listeners of my podcast for going on 5 years now, because they know they're never gonna get to hear bullshit from my channel.
Hey, this is Teddy from the Wanting Less podcast. I got a quick story for you. In 2018, my life was turned upside down. I found myself broke, depressed, exhausted, newly single after 8 years. Today, almost 2 years later, I've completely altered my financial destiny for the better, landed an amazing woman who loves me for me, and I've increased my happiness exponentially. How did I do this? How did I start fresh, but well this time? Simple, really. I made it my only focus to determine what mattered most to me, to block out the rest and get after it with a vengeance. Oh, and I didn't do it alone. Listen and subscribe to the Wanting Less podcast wherever you listen, and if you want to learn more, check out wantingless.org. Maybe today's the day that your life takes off. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, and that's what I like about you, man, and that's why I really felt like, because when it comes to having people on my channel, I'm very careful because I am a person that tries to, do my best to abide by good ethics, and I'm not just about making money. I'm not just about, hey, let's get somebody that started their own business, because there's plenty of people who start their own businesses, but what makes you different from all those other people is your why behind what you do. Because there's a lot of people who have their whats, they have their positions, they maybe even have their house, but they don't know what their why is. And so tell us a little bit about that and why you felt like, why you felt like you came from Wall Street to starting your own business, because I see that trading is a part of that, and helping people and educating people. Yeah. Like, what do you feel like your why is on earth?
I'm a pretty good educator. Again, started out as a high school teacher back in university. It wasn't easy. I had 3 jobs when I was in uni, always 2 at the same time, never 3 at the same time.
Yeah.
One of those jobs was being a tutor on campus. Mm-hmm. So teaching is something I was always good at, and what happened in the crypto space, when I learned about Bitcoin, I should have recognized it earlier than I did, but it took a couple of financial crises for me to really realize it. There were 2 events in particular. Mm-hmm. One took place in 2013 when the Cyprus banking system shut down, and they confiscated 50% of everybody's money over 100,000 euro. So imagine you working, you're in your 40s, you've been working, you've been saving. And you have $200,000 in the bank because you've been saving, trying to start a business.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, on Sunday, the banks close, and on Monday, you find out that the government took $50,000 of your money because they wanted to. So so when you come back, you're like, well, what happened to my 200,000? Well, it's now 150. We took 50,000. We took half of everything you had above 100K.
Wow.
And that's when Bitcoin hit it for me, because Bitcoin is the first asset that if you properly hold it and protect it, it is the only thing of value us humans have ever owned that is unconfiscatable by the government, by anyone with a bigger gun, by anyone. Because they don't have to know that you have it, and you can store it in your head.
Interesting.
There's nothing else, whether it's your property, whether it's your laptop, whether it's the money in the bank, even gold. That's all that could be confiscated. People are like, well, my gold is safe. Well, not really. If you keep your gold at a bank, they can take it. If you keep your gold at home in a safe, they can take the safe.
Yeah.
You really can't hide it. You can bury it in your backyard, but which was a good method to protecting your gold 100 years ago. But today, with metal detector technology, they'll get it.
Yeah.
If they really want your gold, they'll get it. And Bitcoin doesn't have a physical form. It's a digital scarce asset. And it gives you this unconfiscatability feature. And I recognize that feature, and one of my conferences is called Unconfiscatable. I have unconfiscatable.com.
Yeah.
I turned this concept into a brand of its own. And that was the one thing. And then the other part was another financial incident in Greece that took place in 2015, 2 years later, with the Greek banking shutdown. And they didn't confiscate people's money. But no matter how much money you had at the bank, for a 2-week period, you were only allowed to withdraw 20 euros out of an ATM machine per day. You had an allowance. You can have $100,000 in the bank, but the ATM will only give you, because they know who you are, you can only withdraw $20 a day, and that's all you have to live on. And the government decided that. And that's another feature of Bitcoin, where you always have access to your money, and you can transfer it anywhere in form of Bitcoin, and no one can stop you from doing it. And these are such fundamental properties of Bitcoin that made me fall in love with this space. And this is why my conferences exist. One is called Unconfiscatable. The other is called Understanding Bitcoin, where we teach people how to properly use Bitcoin, how to properly protect Bitcoin, protect your privacy with your financial transactions. So my events are all about education, and I continue to, and that's really my passion. My passion is to educate people as to why Bitcoin could be this future one global currency. And that sounds bad. It sounds, wow, one world currency. But in the case of Bitcoin, no one controls it. No one owns it. There's all these concerns that the government is going to have one world currency in full control, but this is politically neutral. The government doesn't control it. In fact, they're not happy it exists. But I believe people will choose it because it's just better. It's better than anything that came before it for this modern digital age. And my conferences are meant to educate that, and the financial summit is different. That one is more of for trading. That one, while it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Bitcoin, but because my audience is in the Bitcoin crypto space, at the moment the majority of attendees are from the crypto world of trading and the hedge fund space, but I'm looking to branch out into the traditional finance. So that one is more hopefully for more cooperation, meet people, start a hedge fund, start trading, and make money. But the other two, so something has to finance it. If you are a philanthropist, if you are an educator, if you want to start a school, you need money. And you have to either find investors that you then owe something to. You either gotta be wealthy from before, or you gotta have another way to finance it. I don't borrow money. I don't have investors. I finance everything myself. And this is why either my trading or my trading education finances my evangelism in the crypto space. And it's a hard dynamic to keep up, because I wasn't that early of an adopter in Bitcoin, so I'm not a mega millionaire. But I do all right. I have lots of freedom and just trying to enjoy life as much as I can.
So all that to say is, it sounds like your why is being an educator behind all of that. Because from being a professor, from now doing this, being in this space, the cryptos, the Bitcoin space, it sounds like, with all the conferences too, it sounds like education and educating people and empowering people is your why. At least that's what it sounds like. Would I be right?
Absolutely. And I want people to be more independent, but I know it's not for everyone, and it's a tough road. Be ready. Be ready. It's great. I love it. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I don't think I'll ever work for anyone ever again. But it's definitely not easy and stressful. But if you have the right motivation, you'll get it done.
That's right. They say sometimes when you don't have a 9-to-5, you have a 24/7. That's
exactly it.
Even while we're here in South Africa, this man's been working 5 hours a day. So
well, this is work, right? Me doing interviews, and your audience will have maybe a better understanding about Bitcoin. This is work. This is what I consider work. People are like, well, what do? You're on vacation? You going through Africa? Every day is both work, and I try to enjoy it. Anytime I can get outside, go for a hike in the morning. After that, You know, this is work. This is work for me, and I love it.
Yeah, and this is great too because it's my first international podcast too, first episode, man. So I'm honored that you're part of this. So, and you know, here in this podcast, we talk a lot about how we look at life like a house, right? And so with every house, there has to be something firm that holds it, because there's going to be a lot of things that try to rock it, and a lot of things in life that we face challenges. And the question is like, what does your house stand on? What is like one foundational piece or one thing that you consider a value that your house or your life stands on?
You know, it's got to be what made me popular in this crypto space with my podcast, just my honesty and integrity. That's what really got me here, and I'll always stick with that. I made it this far on it, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, because some people find it, I don't know, they get into those spaces where they're tempted to cut a corner or do something malicious, but I like that you're sticking to just doing the right thing behind closed doors. Yeah, not just where everybody can see. So, all right, so that segment has ended, and now we are on question of the day, where we ask a random question, and that question is, if there was a car that describes you that had your characteristics, which one would it be and why?
Oh man, so it's a car that I will eventually buy the moment I stop traveling around the world. It's got to be a Tesla.
Yeah.
It's a Tesla, and I know that's probably the most common answer, but for me, because Tesla is about the future for me. I've been on my channel, I talk a lot about the stock market and individual stocks. And I don't know how long I've been saying that I'm expecting Tesla to be the biggest company in the world one day. Wow. I'm very high on Tesla because it's about the future. It's not about the now. I don't care that the company doesn't make any money right now. Amazon didn't make money for 10 years, right? But you have to see the vision. You have to see the fact that everyone is going to be ordering from Amazon and get it delivered the next day. Eventually, it'll be drones. I mean, Tesla will have to compete with Amazon. That's not going to be easy. But I see the future. I see the future of automation. I see the future of self-driving cars. The way I see the future in Bitcoin as becoming this currency for the digital age, making everyone better off. With more sound money, more private money. And I see the same thing with Teslas. I see every Uber being an self-driving automated Tesla one day, and I can't wait for that day. So that's me, looking forward to the technology, looking forward to the future. I'm a big believer in technology. I think technology will solve our problems. They always do. The world is polluted, and technology will clean it up. Hopefully, again, as a geologist, I know the natural disasters happen that can just almost destroy all life on the planet. And we've had a good run for the last 10 to 15,000 years. And hopefully we have another 10 to 15,000 years so we can have better technology to perhaps find another livable planet not because I think we're going to destroy this planet. I'm very optimistic that we're not going to destroy the planet. But, a giant volcano, a giant natural disaster actually could. And I'm a believer in technology. I'm a believer in the future that human race will survive forward. And Tesla is the tiny step to at least make life easier while we're on this planet.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Tone Vays, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great.
You guys can check out the YouTube channel, tonevays.com, the YouTube
Twitter,
channel,
Instagram.
Twitter. Everything is as Tone Vays, TONEVAYS. Also, unconfiscatable.com, understandingbtc.com, and thefinancialsummit.com. Check it out.
And remember, the conference Unconfiscatable is that one
this just concluded. That was in Vegas. Came with an awesome poker tournament. And the next one's coming up, the Financial Summit, Dominican Republic in April.
April 19th, guys.
Understanding Bitcoin. That's May 28 to 31 in Malta.
That's right. There we have it. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's episode. Be sure to Subscribe to the podcast, whether on Spotify, Google Play, and if you're on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a nice review if you connected with today's episode. And if you have any questions, comments, or just want to hit us up, you can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Speaker LYFE, because life without your why is meaningless. We thank you again so much for listening. We love you, and we'll see you in the next episode.